Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'll be showing you how to paint a desert landscape. I'm going to be using lots of fun, bright colors. I'm really looking forward to this one. And I'll try to keep it sort of impressionist style, so it won't be too difficult, maybe medium difficulty. I've got my husband, Mark, here.
I'm Batman.
Oh, it's Batman Day, isn't it? He's going to be manning chat for us during the live show, so if you've got questions not about Batman, you can ask those while I'm painting, and I'll try to answer them. All right, let's get started. All right, so this is my reference photo. I decided to go ahead and do it on a portrait type canvas, like a long, extra long. It's double wide, so it's like two squares side by side. And I cropped my photograph to match that portrait length. It actually was a little bit longer on both sides. It was like a panoramic photograph that I got off a Shutterstock. So, and I'm going to use the 8 by 16 inch canvas. This is a Fredrix Pro plein air mixed media paint board. So nature core, it's like solid all the way through. Should work out pretty good, and Fredrix is our canvas sponsor, so we thank them for providing our canvas today. I've got some brushes here from our brush sponsor, this is Princeton. I've got a number 12 bright for some of the background, just kind of blocking in some colors. Number 8 bright for the same. Number 4 bright and number 2 bright for some of the more detailed things that we might be doing. These are all the 6100 series in Princeton. It's kind of a soft synthetic white fiber. This is the number 4 round, number 2 round, and number 1 round. I'm not sure if we'll use every single one of these brushes, but we're just going to have them on hand just in case. I've got the 1/4 inch and the 3/8 inch angle brushes from their Velvet Touch line, and the 3/8 inch Willows blender, which I absolutely love because they're great for clouds and things like that. I've also got a couple of Deerfoot stipplers for some of the greenery, but these are the 3/8 inch and 5/8 inch angle. They are soft. This is the Select line, by the way. They're kind of a soft sort of medium firmness brush, but if you don't have those, you can use something like a hog bristle brush or something like that. Just anything that you can kind of pounce some texture. I also have out my sponge, my sea sponge, just in case we have some large areas on here we might want to cover a little bit more quickly. Larger areas, sponge does really well. All right, so there's our materials, and let me go over our colors really quick. I've got Unbleached Titanium, Titanium White, Zinc White, Quinacridone Magenta, Cadmium Red Light, Cadmium Orange, Cadmium Yellow Light, Cadmium Yellow Medium, Yellow Oxide, Phthalo Green, Yellow Shade, Teal, Phthalo Blue Green Shade, Light Ultramarine Blue, Ultramarine, Dioxazine Purple, Burnt Sienna, and Burnt Umber. That was a lot. If you don't have all these colors, a lot of them can be mixed. I just have them all out so that they make faster painting today, but like the light ultramarine can be mixed with ultramarine plus white. The teal can be mixed with phthalo blue and green and white, that kind of thing. So, the oranges can be mixed in that also. So, all right, let's get going because it's going to be kind of a large canvas to get covered today. So our horizon line is about 1/3 of the way up. So if you kind of mark your canvas board here, the tops of our mountains are going to hit the kind of the top of the 1/3 there. So we can start there, and the halfway mark is going to be kind of the middle of this thing here. So this middle peak is kind of right at the midline, and this hill that's coming down right here is sort of meeting up with the center mark. So here's our 1/3 right here, and so we're just going to kind of mark that center mark. It just kind of helps me to have kind of a reference when I'm drawing to sort of know where, okay, then this one's going to go all the way up to the 1/3 mark, and it's going to kind of curve back around and then go down a little bit and then back up, and then there's another little mountain that's sort of creeps up right here. And really these mountains are fun because you can kind of make up your own whatever formations you sort of want to see. So they're kind of fun to draw and paint for that reason. I'm going to use chalk here so I can kind of just erase it if I see something I don't like. I'm going to make that a little bit smaller right there. And then going over here, this kind of continues on down. And then this side is just underneath, maybe like right where that dips right here on this side. So sort of down here, if you kind of go across, that's sort of where that hill starts. And it's going to kind of do the same and then meet up with this one and have some sort of overlapping happening. And then there's some smaller hills coming up this way, and then there's a road or like a path that sort of curves like this, narrows and widens really wide right here. And then this side is going to have another little curve here. There's a big old tree right in this area. And we don't really need to do a whole lot of detail in here. We just kind of really want to kind of make our planes. That's what will make our distance give us some perspective. So we've got kind of a far distance and then a medium distance and then your kind of foreground. And there's a couple more planes in between, but those are our main major ones, at least 3, to kind of break it up. And then this kind of comes up like that, I think. All right, and then this back mountain here just kind of fills in this whole area. So we kind of come down from here and go up. And this is our halfway mark, so it's kind of right there is where we start this little part of that mountain right there. Would be a good place to go. And then you don't want to go really above our 3rd mark here, so we need to leave a lot of room for our sky. Few things right here, and then there's another kind of mountain that sort of comes out in front right here, comes down. Hopefully you can see this okay with the chalk. There's some mountains that kind of come in front, and this one sort of does a hill that comes down like this. And then there's really far away, there's another little mountain set. A lot of these mountains have sort of flat tops, so that is a good thing to kind of, like the regular mountain peaks might, have kind of a pointed tip, and these will be kind of more flat on the top of them. That kind of gives them that desert feeling. Okay,
somebody in chat's claimed that this is Hat Mountain.
Hat Mountain. Ooh, all right. I don't know. I don't remember what this picture said, but I believe you.
I thought it was Fedora Mountain, but okay.
you were thinking it was Fedora Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Well.
Chapeau.
I'm going to start with I'm no comment. I'm just going to move on from that.
Standard operating procedure.
Right. Exactly.
Ignore the man to my left.
Just try to keep on going. God. Except for somebody told me that I need to stop degrading you, so I'm sorry, honey. What were you saying? It's like, seriously? Oh my gosh.
I'm used to it.
Yeah. Oh, thanks a lot.
Here's role playing. I'll be Angela. Hi, honey. How was your day? I'm Mark. Blah 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 blah. Angela's just reading her and texting on her phone while I'm talking.
It's not true. That happened one time. You never let me forget.
Well, I got to hold on to something.
Okay. All right. All right. I'm using. See, I'm going to get in trouble for not telling you what we're doing too.
Oh.
All right. I get in all kinds of trouble today. the cadmium yellow light with white here. That's all I've made. Very little yellow in it. It's very close to white. I'm just kind of putting this sort of blush of yellow, very light color right along that horizon line there. And I'm sort of going over my mountain lines so I don't have to worry about covering those later. Going down over the top of them. And then just sort of like lightly blending out that top edge so I don't have any hard edges to deal with when we're trying to blend in these other colors that we're going to be putting on top of this. So that'll be sort of our base color. Let's go ahead and use a little bit of this. Up here, there's kind of this meandering, a large cloud that goes all along here. There's some of it over here. Down here, it's a little bit more blue, so we'll mix up a different color, but I'm just going to kind of use up whatever's left of this in here for now. And kind of lay down some of this yellow. All right. I'm going to grab a little bit more of the straight yellow and put it in on top, kind of around the sides of that really light white. Then a little bit of the cadmium yellow medium, which is more of an orangey version. I'm trying to stay away from those white areas. I want to leave some really bright white areas in the middle there. And this color, this canvas is still a little bit wet down here, this paint that I already put down, so I'll mix with it a little bit. And let's see. Let's go ahead and put in some of the blue. Let's do phthalo blue. And a little bit of ultramarine. It's kind of my favorite sky color. If you have cerulean blue, that's also a pretty blue for sky. Lots of white. But these two colors together, the phthalo blue and the ultramarine, make a really good basic kind of middle range blue. It's not too green and not too... It's actually kind of a little bit more purpley in our picture. I think I'm going to go ahead and grab a little bit more of the ultramarine to push it a little bit more towards the purple side. There we go. And I'm just going to kind of lightly bring that around and not cover up my clouds too much.
We got a question when you have
Okay.
have a moment. I would like to know, why are the light colors going down before the dark?
Because with this sky, we want those bright, bright, bright areas. And if we put them down on top of the blue would kind of seep through. So, and kind of make them look green. So we want to keep our yellows really bright. We put down the yellow first. And then that way, when we put down this blue, it won't, we can kind of paint around and near it. And then we're going to put other colors in between here to kind of blend these two together. But I'm kind of just sort of laying in some of these blues sort of around this color a little bit right now. It's going to look really bad at first. So you're going to just think this is not how you're supposed to do this. But we'll get it there.
Good answer.
Thanks.
The judges are currently calculating your score.
Discussing.
Yep.
Okay. All right. And now I've got the blue. I'm going to go ahead and grab a little bit of that yellow. It actually is kind of almost a greenish cast right along here. Just slightly green. We don't want it super green though, so don't add too much of that yellow, but all right. Add some of that down here too.
So have you ever framed any of your canvas panels?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I frame all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, the Hobby Lobby has really good, like, you know, a lot of the hobby stores and things have really good just open back frames for just made for canvases and canvas panels. So all you just have to do is pop it in, and actually they'll, I think for $3 or $4, they will, add a hanger and put a paper back on it and make it look really nice. And you get half price if you, at least at Hobby Lobby, that's a new policy. So if you have them work on your canvas, even if it's not on sale, they'll give it. Now this is September 2018, and I just got one done. So don't quote me 2 years from now if it's still not that way. So I'm not guaranteeing that. I'm just saying that's how it is right now. So it makes it really nice. All right, so let's, I guess I can use this same brush. I'm going to clean that out. I'm going to let that dry really well because we're going to do a lot of blending and scrubbing and stuff, and I don't want to scrub off any of that color. So I'm going to let that set and dry really well before we do anything else to it. So let's work on our mountains, and I'm going to use the Ultramarine Blue to start with from way back in the background. Add a little bit of white, but it's pretty bright. Back here in this mountain, right in here, is blue. And let's see, there's a little bit of it on this one right here. I'm just kind of using the corner of my brush. If this brush is too big for you, finding that you're having difficulties, you can switch to a smaller brush. So choose whatever brush you're comfortable with that works in your, area that you're. I like to use the largest brush that I can fit into the area that I'm working on. It just makes things go faster. But if you have a smaller brush that you're more comfortable with, by all means use that. So there's our blue. Then I'm going to grab some purple. And a little bit of white. I'm trying to see what our base colors are in here down in the cracks. That's what I'm looking at. So I'm just kind of trying to see what those colors are, because they're pretty purple. So I'm going to go ahead and go pretty dark here. And go with this dark purple. We're going to add lots of lighter colors on top, so don't worry about being too dark at this right now at first. So welcome guys, if you're new to the channel. We're just hopping right in and getting painting, but hope you will stick around, come back, check out our other videos. We're 2 away, so this is number 299. Well, next on Tuesday we'll have 300 tutorials on YouTube. So that's pretty
300?
Cool. Yep. Yeah.
300?
Yep.
Oui?
Oui.
That's awesome.
I know.
And when we say we, I have 1. And Angela has 298. So it's a little unbalanced.
Okay, sorry. I forgot to mention yours.
Exactly. You're dissing me?
I'm taking credit for all of it.
Exactly. And it was marginal camera work on that video too of mine.
It was, and I was laughing a lot.
Yes.
So. It was handheld though, so you got to cut me some slack.
True. And then we have the Patreon one too that I did.
That's true.
I know. So yeah, if you're new to the channel, welcome. There's some first-time live viewers.
Nice.
So welcome to you guys, and thanks for joining us on this Saturday afternoon here. It's Central United States.
I grabbed some Quinacridone that I'm adding to this. So sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. And so yeah, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check out all the other videos, a whole bunch and wide-ranging from beginner, children, more advanced, all kinds of different subject matters, animals, landscapes, flowers, one fishing lure, one truck. Did you do a truck?
No,
Or
I
it was
did a tractor.
A tractor. We're still not sure what kind of tractor it was, but that's
I think
okay.
there was a debate about it, but yeah. Don't get that started again.
For a long, long
I'm
time.
going to get a lot of messages again about
People
it.
are very passionate about their tractors.
Yeah. Love it.
And then down below the video, if you hit the show more, you can see the links to the Amazon store, the list of all the supplies Angela's going to be using, links to the brush guys.
And I'm using the Unbleached Titanium here, adding that to just this foreground area. It's a little bit lighter. So, sorry.
No, that's fine. And at the brush guys, if you use the code Angela Fine Art, you get 5% off your purchase, and Angela's recommended brushes are in there. And then, of course, way down, there's links to social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, all that good stuff. And as I like to say, there's so many different ways to stalk Angela. Pick your favorite. I just sit here off to the side and just stare at her.
Right. It's not creepy at all.
No.
You're kind of like Cashmere. Our cat does that too. So
Yeah.
I'm used to it. All right. I'm mixing the purple with the burnt sienna here just a little bit. And really these are just kind of on the fly. You know, you can really, you can't go wrong as long as you kind of use these purpley blue tones. You could, you know, even use brighter tones if you wanted to really make it more stylistic. The neutral tones will kind of make it more realistic. But with the Southwest, I mean, these colors are pretty rainbow. I mean, they're pretty vibrant. If you've ever seen a desert sunset there, you see all the colors of the rainbow for sure. So I would say go for it. You know, this is one of those landscapes that you can kind of really play with the colors a lot and have fun with it, and go a little bit more extreme than you might normally go. Okay. I know that one looks a little weird, but I guess it's right. I think this one needs to be up higher. Okay. There we go. I'm going to clean that out. And then down here, I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit more of the magenta color, a little bit of burnt sienna. Grab a little bit of that purple, but it's mostly kind of this reddish clay color that we're seeing peeking through the hills. And I'm just going to put that on right here. So I did a little bit lighter color on the hills just down in here, and I'm really just kind of blending the wet into the wet as I work. This layer really doesn't matter if we get it just perfect, so don't waste too much time, you know, making sure these blends are exactly perfect, because we're going to do lots of layers on top, so it doesn't really matter what this looks like. As long as we kind of get the basic right colors and shapes in, we're going to be fine. So you don't have to spend a lot of time, waste a lot of time with these first layers, you know, getting them just perfect. So, but I do want to kind of pay attention to the direction that I'm seeing the growth. So like on the hills, I was kind of pulling in this direction. I wouldn't want to pull in this direction because that's not the way that I'm seeing the greenery grow. And then that way I don't have to fight against any of the lines that might show up underneath my painting. And the same thing with this. I'm kind of going to work with the actual lines of the hill that I'm seeing, and that way we can have some kind of a head start on the process. It already look like it's in the directions we want it to be. Right there. And then this side is mostly green. Not seeing a whole lot of the dirt at all. So I might just go ahead and grab some of that green, and I'll use the pink that I've already got in my brush here, but you know, we'll just make a dark green color, mix it with that purple to kind of neutralize a little bit. We'll just use that over here. And we can use a little bit of the red here and there. Once we do our greenery, we might add a little bit of that red back in. And I'm just kind of, where these are meeting, I'm just kind of tapping so that I have kind of an irregular edge right here, so that because we're going to be kind of tapping in some sort of greenery looking plants and things. So we don't want to fight a hard edge. That's really the only times I'm putting like hard edges like this is when, you know, I've got like a sky or something like that that I'm working with. But when you're kind of meeting up these two colors here, just sort of going to tap so that I have sort of fuzzy edges, and that'll make it easier later. And let's grab some burnt sienna and do some of that in this foreground here. A little bit more of the brown color.
We are almost done.
Oh.
Once you get that whole canvas
you honestly
covered,
could do something.
we're done.
Huh?
So once you get the canvas covered, we're done.
Is that what it is? Oh,
Yep.
So I better leave some open areas. Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say that.
Don't cover it too fast. I'm going to grab some yellow oxide with that burnt sienna. Use that for this area down in here. I've still got green on my brush, so it's not going to look like a very pretty color, but we'll put lots of other stuff on top. So we're just trying to get some dark down. The closer we get to, you know, the foreground, the more accurate your colors are going to be. The farther back, the more they're going to be affected by the light in the sky and that kind of thing. And it is, you know, sunset, so these colors are starting to get a little bit muted and softer. Let's go ahead and make a color in between this purple pink color back there and this light yellow. So I just kind of grab some more of the quinacridone to add to this yellow oxide color that we're working on. And just trying to scrub that paint into the canvas. This first layer usually is, the canvas is very dry, you know, it doesn't have any paint on it yet, so it can take a couple coats. Sometimes depending on the quality of paint you're using too. I'm using heavy body acrylics, so they're a little bit easier to get to cover than some. Let's use purple and pink and a little bit of the unbleached titanium for our path. It's probably way too dark. Let's go ahead and lighten it up a little bit. Maybe a little bit of ultramarine blue. There we go. This is our path. Color got really quiet all of a sudden. Thinking. Think.
I'm turning up the volume so everybody can hear you.
Do it.
So
Thank you. Sorry.
did you get to whispering?
I know I am whispering. I do that. It's kind of unnatural to paint and talk. It's just not a normal thing. So I really have to concentrate to make my voice project when I'm painting. At least when I'm thinking. Like if I'd painted this ahead of time and had notes down and all, I could teach it and paint without really thinking too much about what I was doing, because I would already have worked out all these colors and everything. But now I'm really having to just kind of look and concentrate, and that takes a lot of brain energy away from talking. All right, so just going to blend it in, some of that blue purple into there. I didn't want to kind of lose the path shape, but I think that's good. Let's go ahead and just put a little bit of this bluish purple in over here in some places, just to kind of tie this side into the other side. We can put some of this green over here to do the same. All right. Yep, we're done now.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks for
really
joining.
good, doesn't
Click
it?
subscribe, thumbs up, all that
Okay,
stuff.
so this is what we call the ugly stage. That's what I call the ugly stage.
This is called the mark finished stage.
This is the stage where when when you're first learning to paint, you may get to this stage and start to panic. So that's completely normal. Just keep on trucking. We're gonna work through this and keep adding more layers. Acrylics are very notorious for having extended ugly stages. So it may look a lot worse before it looks better. And just know that going in, it's a little bit less frustrating.
This is a stage where I was like, all right, I'm done.
You're done.
Now I can go play video games.
Right. Not today, sorry, hun. We got a couple more hours, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to work my hardest to get it done quickly for you. But
No, you do your best for everybody watching across the world. Don't worry about me.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, grabbing the Quinacridone Magenta and some Zinc White. So just kind of keep our white transparent. It kind of lightens up the Quinacridone Magenta just a little bit, but it keeps the transparent color. And I'm using this Willow's blender. If you don't have one of these, you could use, like I said, a scruffy old brush or Deerfoot Stippler, or just something that you can kind of scumble with. And we're going to kind of scrub in some of this magenta around the upper layers of our clouds. There is this layer of pink. Just kind of lightly scrubbing it side to side. Do not have a lot of paint on my brush.
Should have some elevator music playing or something.
Why? Just watching clouds go on here. You got white here that I'm using. I need a little bit more opaque. When you kind of want your clouds to cover over, like I didn't put this area up in here in the blue, so I use a little bit of white, of the regular white, zinc, titanium white. And that'll cover a little bit more solidly, and then the zinc white will keep it looking a little bit more wispy. So it just depends on what you're looking for. Some of these areas we do want a little bit more solid, like in the middle here. I'm just scrubbing in some of this pink. And they're gonna kind of slowly start to make some more sense. Like already this sort of upper layer is starting to be like, okay, that sort of looks like clouds. That's sort of how this whole painting is gonna start being revealed. We'll just work on these slowly. The tendency is with clouds, I think, is to just kind of put too much paint on too quickly, and then it just sort of ruins the effect because it's just overpowers the painting if you've got too much solid color. If they look too solid a lot, especially around the edges. So, okay, I just picked up the light cadmium, added some zinc to it, and I'm going to go right up underneath the Quinacridone Magenta, add some of this. There's not a whole lot of this really bright red, so I'm just going to add just a little bit in a couple places. Really, this kind of comes down a little bit farther than I'm making it.
So we got some facts when you're ready.
Desert facts.
So the Batman character first appeared in the Detective Comics in 1939.
Why are we talking about Batman?
Oh, I thought it was a special Batman edition.
No, it's not any. Although there is a good Batman documentary about Batman on, I don't remember if it was Netflix or HBO or one of those. It's called, I think it's called maybe Finding Batman or In Search of Batman, or I don't know, something like that. But it was about the creator of Batman and how the guy who is credited for the Batman comics is not actually the one that drew them or even came up with the idea. He just basically kind of paid another guy to do him and then took all the credit for it. so a pretty wild story. What? It's true, though.
No, I know. No, Mary said that she had a cold last week and she sounded like Batman.
Nice. I like it.
Okay, so you have to do the rest of the show in your Batman voice.
Batman.
Quinacridone Magenta.
All right, I'm adding more of this brighter white. I added some more yellow. I'm just kind of solidifying some of these shapes in here. And then these actually are kind of orangey out here on the outskirts. This is all kind of soft orange, so just kind of using this pink orange. The Quinacridone Magenta and Cadmium Red Light will make a really beautiful, like, medium cherry red. And then if you add white to that, it's got this really pretty salmon-y red color. There's that word salmon-y again I like to use. That's one of the colors we'll be putting in our paint line if it ever happens. Let's use some of it over here. I think I didn't put enough blue over here, so I'm going to have to kind of shape out some of these clouds a little bit with some blue. I put too much of the yellow all through here. Kind of do this diagonal thing down in here, so I'm just going to kind of work it in a diagonal. Are you able to see this okay? Am I too far away? There's really not a whole lot of ways to
we can't
zoom in with
we can't zoom in too much more.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to use the Cadmium Orange and the Cadmium Yellow Medium. It'll make kind of this bright, vivid yellow-orange. That's for this part of the sky, so I'm going right up underneath where we've done the reds. And just do a line of that. I'm just trying to keep it soft where it's sort of meeting the yellow there. And there's not really a whole lot of it over here. It's pretty soft over here. Most of the vivid color is right in this area. All right. So now I need to work on this transition between the blue and the yellows because it's pretty obvious transition there. So I'm gonna grab the phthalo blue, add a bunch of white. A little bit of the ultramarine blue as well to get it in that same kind of color family. And then I'm going to go over what I've already done with the sky here. And this is going to be kind of opaque because we added white to it. So just want to go slowly and lightly work this color in where we want more blue. Am I off camera? I can't tell. Did you zoom in? You zoomed in a little bit. Okay, sorry. As long as I know where to go, I can.
Just stay on the canvas. You'll be all right.
All right.
That's your parameters.
Got it.
The canvas.
Okay. I think I can handle that. So then I'm going to get mostly just white right here where these two are kind of meeting and just kind of lightly brush over that. And if I got this yellow light enough, it'll just look like it's kind of blending down into it. I don't have to blend them too much more than that. And I'm also kind of going in that direction that the wind is blowing, so that kind of side to side sort of sweeping lines with my brush, and that way if any of these don't blend all that well or we do see streaks, it'll look like we kind of meant to do that, and it'll make sense in our sky.
So are you dry brushing right now?
Pretty much, yeah. It's very, very little paint on my brush. I'm not really fully dry brushing. I do have, some paint I'm pushing around, but I lay the paint down where I want it brightest, like that, and then I'm kind of getting a little bit of water, wiping that off, just so that I kind of have a damp brush that's very little paint on it, and just using that to kind of pull those edges of the wet paint down a little bit, and that way I can kind of blend them a little bit while they're still damp. So it's not fully dry, because if it was dry, completely dry, I wouldn't have any water in my brush. So I'm picking up a little bit of water and touching my paper towel a couple of times. So you might put the water cam on. That was kind of your cue.
I'm right on it.
Water. There we go. Picking up just a little bit of water and touching it on my paper towel, so that it's kind of it's almost like a wash of, or almost like I'm glazing with this color. So when you dry brush, you get kind of more texture, and I don't really necessarily want it super textured. You know, I want it to kind of look a little bit softer, more blended. So then that's where the water helps. You're just picking up a little bit of water. And I have color on my brush, but it's not a lot. I'm just using this to kind of pick up a little bit more of that kind of lighter blue color. Go down in here and just lightly dust it over the top in that area where I want to soften those colors and blend them together a little bit.
So we got a question about the blue.
Yes.
Now I'd like to know, does the blue become vibrant because of the contrast or buildup of color or drying time? So what's making
yeah,
the blue
and I
vibrant?
those blues are already vibrant. I did not use any kind of other color to cut their intensity. You know, so sometimes like if you want a more of a gray sky, you'll add a little bit of yellow or a little bit of brown, or, you know, just something to kind of dull the color a little bit, maybe an opposite color. But in this case, I'm using the straight ultramarine and phthalo blue with a little bit of white. The white will dull the intensity just a little bit. It just, but they're pretty bright in themselves. So that is, that also helps. But yeah, the contrast makes a really big difference too. You know, this having the contrast between this bright blue and the softer pinks and yellows and things that we're using with it. All right. So kind of need to work on this area a little bit more still. It's still looking a little bit raggedy. So I'm going to use white and some of that light cad yellow light. Sorry, cad yellow light. And I noticed that I kind of went over the top of my sky right there on that one, so I can kind of clean up any of these edges around the mountain a little bit and do kind of like what we did with that blue. This is sort of watered down a little bit, and so I'm going to kind of go over the top of my sky and it'll kind of blend these colors together. I can start to really kind of make them form shapes. Again, kind of doing them in that direction of that I'm seeing these clouds are kind of doing this kind of sideways motion here. So kind of keeping my brush strokes all going in that direction and really help. There's not a whole huge amount of yellow on the top part here, so that area up there is mostly pinks, so I'm going to kind of mostly concentrate this color down on the bottom areas here. Is everything all right?
Oh, there's some drop frames starting to happen.
Alright, gonna grab some of the cadmium yellow light, just straight, bright yellow. We've been having so many internet issues the last couple weeks. It's really weird. We've had such a good run for so long, and then all of a sudden we're having all these problems. And it's always like during the live shows. It's almost like they're like throttling our internet or something, which very well could be the case. Who knows? Alright, so doing more of the vivid yellows right kind of in the middle here. Going back through, the second coat will really make them more obvious. I'm really taking time on this sunset because this is really the spectacular, sort of showcase of this painting. It's really one of the features that I want to make sure that's really vivid and detailed. So taking our time. Let's put some of this down in here. Are we gonna have to shut down OBS again? And is it bad?
It's not as bad as it was the other day, but
okay,
it's
pretty bad.
It's showing. It's red and yellow there.
Mm-hmm.
I'll keep an eye on it. Said I'll keep an eye on it.
Okay. All right, so let's do some more of that kind of salmon color. So let's grab some quinacridone and some white. I'm going to use that color under here for some like pink that's happening underneath here. So let's grab some zinc white. That'll kind of help it look a little bit more transparent along those edges. If you don't have zinc white, just add, white. Maybe add a little water to your white to make it a little bit more transparent. That's all. The titanium white, though, is, it's an opaque. It's got particles in it, so you really can't get rid of all the opaqueness even if you have water in it. So it is good to get kind of a zinc white just to have. It's a good kind of, like, I wouldn't buy it first, but if you've got all your basic colors, then I would probably get it. If if you're looking for another color to get, that's a really good one to have if you're doing landscapes. And water, it works really well for water and things. All right, getting closer. Grabbing some more of the brighter white. Tap in a little bit of that here and there. And this is pink, so it's not, white. It's got that pink in it. Right, getting closer here. Add a little bit more of it up here. And I'm really, just to kind of keep these soft, I'm just tapping and letting the paint kind of catch. Very, very light touches here. And if you kind of keep sort of moving your brush around, like it's turning it side to side, every now and then I kind of turn it a little bit as I'm tapping, and that also will help it from forming repetitive brush strokes. So, and that's what, kind of kill a realism if you're going for, realism in your paintings. Having randomness is really key with landscapes. You don't want to like repetitive patterns too much, because that immediately your brain kind of goes, nope, that's not right. It like recognizes it, that something's wrong, and you may not even realize what is wrong, but you'll know something's off, and it's that you've either kind of gotten your colors too solid in some places, like it looks a little bit too like too perfect, too matte, too strong, or it's too repetitive or something like that. So you just want to keep it really soft, really
real quick. You still
really random. What? Okay, here's orange. What?
Which brush are you using?
This is that Willow's blender.
Okay, that's what I thought.
It's a Filbert, and it's a stiff bristled Filbert. The nice thing about it over like even my Deerfoot stipplers, I usually use different stipplers in my clouds, but I've started to use this because the Deerfoot stipplers, like if I get water in them, they start to get soggy after a while, but these don't. These kind of retain that stiffness better. So and since it's smaller, you get a little bit more tighter control than with the Deerfoot. So I like the Deerfoot still, and I use it for like foliage and things like that when I need bigger areas covered, but like smaller, more controlled areas like this, I really am liking this brush. This is the one that's at the Brush Guys website, so you can find it there. It might be hard to find other places, I'm not sure. But I really like it. All right, getting some white, cadmium yellow, medium, and white here. And just kind of softening up any areas that I see that look a little bit rough or unblended. Let's go ahead and go in with some Quinacridone Magenta again. Just it's gonna solid with a little bit of water. Again, I'm gonna sort of glaze over some of these areas that have the white paint. They'll kind of catch it and make it a little bit more vibrant.
Can you handle this a few moments on your own?
If what?
Say, can you handle this for a few moments on your own?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to go get some espresso. You want some?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay.
That answer to that is always going to be no, by the way. So, just for future reference.
Got a whole bag of no right
The
here.
whole bag of no for you right here. Yep. All right. And actually, let's go ahead and use a little bit more of that watered down. Maybe grab some of that orange, so it's a light orange, so it's a little softened. It's got a little bit of white in it, and wipe most of that off. I'm gonna kind of come right up against that hillside there. I notice there's kind of like a yellow halo around our mountain. I don't want that, so we'll go ahead and bring some of those clouds right down into the mountain there. Okay. Now we're done. No, joking. Now we are ready to work on our hills a little bit. I'm going to use a little bit more of that bright cadmium yellow with the white on it right here. A little bit of it right in here. There you go. All right, so now let's go ahead and use, I'm going to go ahead and switch to my angle brush because it's a little bit smaller. This is a 1/4 inch angle. It'll give me a little bit more control over where we're putting some of these colors. I'm going to spray my palette because it's starting to get dry. Just got regular water here in a spray bottle. And I'm going to use a little bit of the Quinacridone and burnt sienna. And a little bit of the Unbleached Titanium. Make a really pretty pink. This is all going to be kind of layers of pinks and purples and blues back in here. I'm going to wipe most of that off on my paper towel, so I've got just a little bit on my brush and start to kind of lay in some detail back here. And I'm going to find some planes and make this kind of, if you watched my ocean palette knife painting, it's kind of the same thing where I'm kind of making these sort of angular, we want to zoom in here probably.
I could have done that for you.
I asked you to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
My headphones weren't on.
Oh, okay. So you can't hear me through your ears anymore?
No.
Okay. Just wondering. I must have caught you just in the middle when you're putting them on. All right, Quinacridone Magenta and Ultramarine Blue here. And I still have some of this color that that I've been using. I'm making these kind of shapes. There's these kind of long, these rocks kind of grow with these long sort of shadows happening. There's sort of hills coming right up to them. So this right at the base where the mountain ends and the hill starts, there's a little bit of shadow right there. So I'm just kind of trying to map out where some of those spots are right now. Maybe put a little bit extra dark shadow in here in a couple places. Okay. And then grab some of that quinacridone and burnt sienna color.
You had a question when
And I'm just kind of very lightly sort of dragging this down. Go ahead, leaving these in between spots.
Okay, and the question is, in acrylic painting, is it best to not allow the canvas texture to show through?
Yeah, well, I use it to my advantage. Like I like to have a little bit of texture. I'm trying to find a painting where it would show the texture. You know, I like you want to cover your background completely. But then when you're putting in some of your details, like I like having the texture of the canvas kind of pulling at your paint and leaving these kind of rough edges. That's just my own personal preference, though. Some people don't want that. And if you don't want that, then you'll want to add more water in your paint as you're working and just make sure that you're, you know, covering it more solidly than I might be here. So, but that's just, you know, that's just a personal preference. So I don't think there's any right or wrong way of doing it. I just think that that's, you know, a style choice more than anything. Right. Just kind of pulling down these sort of vertical, and they don't have to be exactly like the picture, but again, just trying to kind of make sure that I'm keeping them random so I'm not having like matchy all the way down. But though you do want some that are going to be larger than others, you know, some of these areas, and then there's going to be like little pockets of shadow in here that you want to leave. And I'm starting with kind of a medium dark color. This is not going to be my lightest color, so I want to kind of slowly build up these layers to the brighter colors. So we will be adding more bright colors, so I'm not covering every light area yet. I'm just kind of starting to sort of map out my shapes a little bit so that when I'm doing my upper layers, I can kind of know where to put some of these other things. So here's actually, this is a little bit farther forward, I think, like right in here. And then this is a plane that comes down. So this one's a little farther back right here. And I can grab a little bit of that darker color and just put it in that shadow area right there to kind of emphasize that a little bit. And make sure that I don't have any white spots on my canvas showing through. You know, right now I'm still seeing some of the canvas peeking through. Let's grab some of the Ultramarine Blue. Oh, I don't know if I can get it. There we go. I have to do it this way. It's resting on top of my water jar. Get some of that blue up in here. And then I'm going to grab some of the light ultramarine. Use some of that for some of my highlights. These are so far away, you're really not going to see a lot of detail, so don't get too picky with these. You really can't go too wrong with these. I'm going to grab some of the Quinacridone Magenta and let's grab some of the white, and then I'm grabbing a little bit of the Unbleached Titanium. The Unbleached Titanium will just neutralize that color just a little bit, make it less pink and a little bit more natural looking. And just putting a little bit of soft pink highlights on there. And that may be too bright, but we can always darken those up with some glazes later. But go. And then let's use some of this brighter pink in here. And I'm just setting my brush down and kind of just dragging it so that I do catch that texture of the canvas. Especially on this rock, it really does help to let that canvas texture work for you and create these spaces, textured looking spots. Makes the work a lot easier to make it look like rock if you kind of let that canvas texture just catch on your brush. And then I'm going to grab some of the Quinacridone Magenta. A little bit brighter, maybe a little bit of the purple. Kind of a fuchsia color. I'm going to use that in here. And I'm kind of going over the top a little bit of my highlights and getting in here in the cracks and I've got some areas that still have a little bit of the lighter color on there I could pick up. I'm leaving a little bit of that dark edge at the top too. I'm going to grab some blue here and sort of clean up, and notice there's kind of almost like a silhouette on these mountains of at the very top. And there's a shadow on this one right here. Let's mix a little bit of this quinacridone pink and the light ultramarine. I'm going to use that in here. Kind of go side to side and just going to put in some little scrubby. There we go. Let's use some of this color up in our rocks too. Okay, let's use a little bit of the burnt sienna and some unbleached titanium. Maybe a tiny bit of yellow oxide. I'm gonna put in just a little bit of like yellows. And this may be too bright, but we can always go in and add a wash over the top. But these dry a little bit darker than they look going onto the canvas, so I usually kind of go just a little bit brighter than I think I need, and then usually we'll dry to a darkness that's about right. Okay, and then there's a little bit right in the between here. Okay. in the middle there, there's a area that's not quite as dark. Similar colors. Right in here, this area. It's a little bit more in shadow. Okay, let's leave that for now. Let's use this on here. There are some little little rock formations right in here. Gonna go right up against this base and up in here. Kind of made this pretty tall. I don't know why I made it so high up. It's actually a little bit closer to this. Excuse me. Goodness. Swallowed wrong. Okay, so I've just got straight quinacridone here a little bit. I still have those other colors on my brush though, so it's kind of mixing with them. Use them up in here. Grab a little bit of blue there, kind of fixing my shape of that hill, and then do a little bit more detail in our rock formations there, the silhouette. Okay. So let's use quinacridone and a little bit of purple. In our burnt or our unbleached titanium. Pulling up a little highlights from the bottom there. A little color on here. And then there's like this sort of light colored along the bottom of that rock right there. Let's put a little bit of this color there. Okay.
How you doing over there?
Okay.
Hanging in there? Good. I had my espresso, so I'm doing great. Thanks for letting me take a break.
You're welcome. I'm trying not to degrade you anymore, so I'm gonna do better about that. I thought that was funny.
Well, what's the fun in that then?
I know.
I mean, we've been together 33 years.
I think you would have complained by now if you felt degraded. I would think so.
I don't know if it would have done any good. Oh, I just got the look.
Seriously. You're not helping things. I'm trying to convince people that I'm nice to you.
She is extremely nice to me.
Okay, thank you. I don't know why I care about one person's comment.
Yeah.
I should ignore those.
Yesterday was our 33 anniversary from our first date.
Yes.
We've been married for 30 years.
Yeah.
I'm here on my own free will. So
I only keep him tied up on weekdays.
I'm trying to blink so people can see me send codes, but you don't put the camera on me, so.
Oh gosh. All right. Using a little bit of the light ultramarine blue here just to kind of add some highlights to these far mountains here. I think we're pretty close. I mean, there's really not a lot of detail in these distant mountains here. Let's grab some of the quinacridone and some burnt sienna, a little bit of the unbleached titanium. That's kind of our basic sort of adobe color, right? We'll use that in here. Add some detail to this rock that's a little bit closer to us. Yeah, we didn't have the traditional hot dogs and corn on our first date night anniversary, 33-year anniversary.
True.
We should have had kind of stale hot dogs and
Tough corn.
Yeah, tough corn,
Overcooked.
overcooked corn on the cob,
Mm-hmm.
and played some 80s music.
Yep.
Stairway to Heaven. I distinctly remember that playing on our first date. And some Van Halen in the car.
I should have parted my hair in the middle and feathered it back for
I
you.
I know.
Sorry.
All right, let's see. Let me use a little bit of burnt umber on this one. A little bit of burnt umber and the purple. This will be actually pretty dark, but I can add a little bit of the unbleached titanium to lighten it up. It'll be kind of a really pretty purpley brown color. Kind of what I'm seeing in this rock over here. It's fairly dark. It's kind of in silhouette, so there's not a whole lot of highlight on this one. Come on. Just trying to get the right value here. Sort of a medium. There we go. And see, I've got kind of some repetitiveness going on there, so I'm going to kind of try to clean that up. All right. Good. Let's use a little bit of this color in our hillside right in here. And there's some unbleached titanium, a little bit of yellow oxide here. Back in here, there's some kind of like light colored something, rocks or something, dirt, who knows. Yeah, this is the same kind of color that's right in here, so we can I really kind of want my rock faces to go almost straight down. So the highlights are going to be kind of dragged down, short lines. There's going to be a big old cactus right here, so I don't need to worry too much about what that looks like right there anyways. Alright, I'm going to grab some of the darker purple. Just go in here and kind of just add some dark details to some of these cliffs, some of these rock formations here. That'll give them a little bit more depth. Okay, let's do a little bit on this rock too, just a little bit in a couple places. We still have a lot of the darker purple, but this will kind of define some of these rock faces. We can use a little bit of like watered down purple to sort of glaze over some of these areas that have the highlights, and then we can kind of define some of the shadows a little bit with that. So kind of glaze, light glaze of purple here. Just kind of going over my rocks. This one kind of comes down from here a little bit. And by glaze, I'm just adding a little bit of water to that purple just to thin it down so that I can put on a sort of a transparent layer of it. And we can do the same thing with the Quinacridone Magenta. Grab some color, white or water, and glaze. Some of it I put a little bit over here when I was off camera. Just kind of lightly. A little bit of color, sorry. There we go. And this same technique would be, no matter what size canvas you were using. So if you, did it even larger, you could go into a little bit more detail with your rocks, but you'd still do the basic same steps and then glaze over, and that kind of tones everything down, gives it kind of a more realistic look, and sort of settles your highlights. Then I'm going to go back in with just a little bit of the unbleached titanium straight and touch it in just a couple places to pull out those highlights a little bit more, just in a couple places. right, let's get all our stippler here. Let's get our stippler here again. This is the Willows blender. I'm going to grab some green and a little bit of purple. Actually, let's do phthalo blue. Let's do some teal back here. So phthalo blue and phthalo green here. We're going to put some of this color right up against the base of our mountain, tapping in a little bit of greenery. And then we're going to kind of do sort of lines out so that we're getting kind of some shapes to our valleys here. We'll do the same thing here. Kind of some tap in our dark color first, obviously, to get that in. Help shape our shadow areas. And it's going right up next to, right up underneath our rocks. Okay, and then I'm going to grab some of the brighter teal, the color teal, maybe a little bit of white. I'm going to use that kind of the corner of this brush to see if I can get tiny, tiny little dabs of paint, and we could probably, I have a smaller one, I might grab that one. I have a 1/4 inch one. Make this a little bit easier. And you could also use like a round brush too at this point, and just kind of, if you used a round brush, what you can do is kind of stipple it so that the bristle, if you do it straight up and down, the bristles kind of break up a little bit, and you can get kind of the same sort of texture that we're looking for here. I may even, I don't know, see how this brush does. I may just go back to the smaller brush. This is teal, cobalt, teal, and white. How are we doing on time? 1.5 hours. Okay. Yeah. I knew this was going to be at least 2 hours, but maybe a little bit longer than that. 2.5 maybe. Try to speed up a little bit. A little bit back here. And then way back in here. We've got, let's see, these little pockets of color. Yeah, this is working. I'm just barely tapping, and we're getting these kind of little round dots of moving my brush back and forth. There we go. Getting that texture of scrub. Grab a little of the yellow and the unbleached titanium there. Do some, there's a little bit more of the yellow tint, just a couple places. Just gonna give it a little bit of highlight. Okay, then let's start using this on the hillside. So our green base, I like that teal color. I think that's a really pretty color for the against the purples. So we'll use that as our kind of base for our greens down here. And I'm just going to tap in some random kind of shapes back and forth. Some a little bit bigger than others. They're kind of concentrated along the ridge, so they're kind of all along that ridge. There's kind of greenery going all the way up to the top. So I'm going to go ahead and go over the top of my edge and kind of create some bushes and outlines of some bushes just by sort of tapping over into that empty space.
Is a tank a random shape?
A tank?
Yeah.
We could put a tank in here, I guess. Is Is this like a desert warfare landscape?
Well, you were just putting in random shapes, so I was just wondering if it qualified. I don't know how random it was.
I don't know. Tank doesn't seem that random to me, but
Okay.
I could be wrong.
All right.
Good try. Going with purple and green here. Gonna do some of that in some places, just kind of up underneath where some of the darker shadows are. This will give us some good contrast. If we don't have these contrast points, these really dark areas, then the painting tends to look a little bit flat. So just kind of, you know, it's going to look weird when you first put it on. You're like, oh, I don't know, I'm putting big black spots all over everything, but it'll make a lot more sense when we start putting in our lighter colors, and we're going to be really glad we have these really dark areas in here. So I'm going to start, and these foreground ones are going to be a lot bigger, so I'm going to go ahead and make much bigger kind of bushes out of these shapes in the foreground here. But we're still going to need these dark colors. So this is one plane, and this is kind of the sort of medium planes a little bit farther back. So these are all going to be kind of still pretty small back here, and then as soon as we kind of get to this section, they widen out and get bigger. Yeah. What are you laughing at?
Devori said, it's a shrubbery.
Shrubbery, thank you. Oh, that's from... where is that from? That's from Monty Python.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's the comment of the day right there.
Yep.
What movie was that from?
I like how you said, oh, thank you.
Took me a minute to realize what that reference was to. Well, I thought...
Isn't that The Search of the Holy Grail?
Yeah, probably. All right, I'm going back to the bigger brush here for this area. Yeah. I have no idea. I can't remember at all where that... I remember the reference, but I don't remember... I mean, I remember, hearing it, but I don't remember where. Somebody will have to send us the GIF of that. Or is it GIF? I don't know. I never say that right. How do you say it? GIF? Is it GIF?
I always say GIF.
Okay, I do too. But
that doesn't mean that it's right.
That's true. All right, going in with this dark right here. This side is already pretty dark anyways, so just kind of laying in some random spots of dark for our brushes or our bushes to kind of play against. So I'm looking at my picture here, and what I'm looking for are these little pockets of dark, these little shapes, and just kind of trying to lay out those sort of same shapes in the same general area, and that way you can see all these really light small ones back in here, and then these bigger ones here that I've kind of rendered. So that's what we're doing. Yeah, it seems very random, but it all will make sense eventually, hopefully. That's the goal, at least. Okay. All right, so this part goes on pretty fast. You can see the stippling part actually doesn't take a whole lot of time. It's the the details and things, and really the just kind of laying down the foundation part that can take a while. But this part's gonna go on fairly quickly. Mark. So,
What?
nothing. I'm just saying for Mark, you know.
Okay.
So you know.
Because I didn't think I had to turn on water cam,
No.
but I can.
No, I was saying this part's not going to take that long. So I want to put in the road because a lot of these bushes are going to be covering up the road. So I'm going to kind of start tapping in. This is the unbleached titanium, just straight up unbleached titanium. And I'm going to kind of, it sort of does this sort of almost like a bowl shape right here because it's kind of climbing up the mountainside a little bit. Some places, so we're just going to go in like that, and we're going to tap in this color and leave lots of that darker color in our, oh, I love this color against the greens. It's going to be so pretty. And that sky, the oranges and the colors with this blue purpley color, perfect for desert. Just screams desert to me. You know, when I see this color scheme. This was my stomping grounds growing up. We didn't have the saguaro where we grew up. We had more palm trees. And those Palm Springs were. But when we were in Arizona, there was a lot of cactus. A lot of barrel cactus and things. We didn't have too much cactus in Palm Springs, but then Mark and I would go for walks in college and come across all kinds of fun stuff. Rattlesnakes and
Owls.
Owls buried, burrowing owls.
In the ground.
Mm-hmm. Those are cool. They're kind of like, what are you doing? They just kind of look at you and then run away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, leaving lots of space. So as I'm getting closer, I've kind of kept this part of the trail sort of small stipples, you know. Then as I'm getting closer here, these rocks are going to be getting bigger. So I'm kind of highlighting where I'm going to put some of these stones that are down closer to the bottom here. So that's what I'm doing, just kind of trying to see where the tops of some of these stones are and put some of this color on top. And I have no spot left on my palette there, so it's picking up all kinds of goo.
Okay, so does it matter when you do something like this if you start in the foreground or the background?
Yeah, because it's better to start in the background, I think, because then your layers will be easier to do. Because if I tried to go in and put my hill right here, say right, like especially like this hillside with the grass, if I did that first and then try to put my sky in behind it, you can see how, there's all these tiny little dots that are happening that'd be almost impossible to do. So it's better to just do the sky first, then the next layer, then the next layer, and because they're all kind of overlapping each other, and especially in landscapes like this, we're going to want these bushes to be over the top of underneath here. And really, you can't paint around that. You can't, get around it any other way. You've got to paint this part first.
And then when you're doing the path there, you're doing the same thing. You're working from the distance forward,
right,
just to add the layer. I guess it looks more natural that way.
I think so. Yeah, it does. That's the hope, at least. All right, gonna grab some unbleached titanium and some of the yellow oxide here, and then I'm gonna add a little bit of that to the path as well. There's kind of like some yellow along the sides in some places, like a highlight sort of. I think it's like brush, grasses and things that are kind of gathered in along the edges of the path. Dry brush. So put a little bit of that in. And then this hillside has got a lot of this color. So I'll go ahead and kind of tap in some of this over here too. So just scrub it in. And this will be underneath, so we'll do this first again, you know, because then we'll have our bushes that will go over the top. It'll overlap it. And we'll have this color sort of behind and underneath. Just kind of scrubbing side to side too. Here to get some of this color off my brush. Pretty. Starting to come together. You're starting to see, hopefully now we're getting out of the, starting to get out of the ugly stage. You're getting into more, you know, this detail where things are kind of starting to make more sense. This is kind of where the, I don't know, this is the kind of the magic part of painting to me. This stage where we kind of start these final couple layers where it just starts to look like something. It's really fun. Just grab some of that yellow oxide. Again, do some over here. These are kind of more almost like grasses in some places. So I'm just going to kind of scrub it upward just a little bit. Kind of setting it down and sort of scraping upward to get some sort of grass-like shapes. And there's some of this color kind of in our pathway too, amongst the rocks. There we go. I said I was going to do this Impressionist style, and I'm doing it all detailed like. Do that every time. That's all right. This one deserves having a little bit more detail. All right, make it a red there with the Cadmium Red Light and the Quinacridone Magenta. Let's get a little bit of the Unbleached Titanium there to brighten it up. Mostly Cadmium Red Light, I think, and some Unbleached Titanium. I just kind of want a little bit of an orangey color. There we go. Back in here along the trail. A little bit of highlight of red on these hills right back here. And let's put a little bit here and there. Kind of in between our green areas where we're seeing the dirt, just a little bit of this kind of bright red highlight. This is exaggerated a little bit more from the picture. It's not quite as bright as this is in the picture, but I think it'll work. Let's put a little bit of it down here. And there's a little bit of it right in here. Okay, whoops. This is all kind of just our background colors here, trying to get a lay in that Adobe orangey feeling. I'm liking it. We're still seeing that kind of a magenta color popping through from our underlayer too. Add a little bit more of that magenta in a couple places. So a little bit of white with our Quinacridone Magenta. Need some fresh color. This kind of painting where you're painting for couple hours at a time, you know, you may just end up having to, at some point, you know, after a couple hours, you may have to clean out your colors and put out some fresh, because it can get kind of difficult working with colors that are drying, in the middle of drying on your palette. They'll be sticky and just a little bit more troublesome to work with. So if you start, you know, feel like nothing's blending and nothing's kind of moving around correctly, then you probably just need to put a fresh palette out. Or if you're working on a foam plate, what I've done before, when I used to work on a foam plate, what I would do is spray my paints down really well and put them in the foam plate with a wet paper towel underneath, and, you know, just give it some moisture and just let it set for about an hour or so, and it'll re-moisturize your paints somewhat. It doesn't work as well with these kind of palettes, I find, because the paper curls up. It doesn't lay flat after you wet it, you know, leave it in a wet environment. It'll curl up, and it just doesn't work as well. But when you work on a plate, you know, you can. The plates are smaller though, so I moved to the bigger palettes just because they're not as, they're bigger. Got more room to work with. All right, adding some of this magenta kind of in, you know, just in a few places where, like our bushes, actually have some of that color sort of in the dark areas. Let's add some over here. You know, scratching in some bushes that are kind of have this in the shadow area. So it's all got that kind of magenta glow. That's what we're going for. And let's add some of it along our rocks here. I'm going to tap in. This is kind of just watered down magenta, so it's not full strength. And I'm going to tap it in amongst our rocks here and just kind of brighten up some of them, highlight them a little bit. There we go. All right, then let's grab my angle brush and some purple. Actually, let's grab some Phthalo blue. No, I think let's do the Ultramarine blue. So angle brush, Ultramarine. I've got it mostly just on the tip of the brush, so I've kind of floated the color. And I'm going to angle it so that the color's down and use this to add some shadows to my rocks. And just tap in some of this color along the base. You want to zoom in a little bit? I'll try to stay on camera. I want them to see this. Okay. So I'm going to pick a couple places to make my rock and just sort of lay some shadow up underneath. So there's a dark rock right here. You can grab some of that purple. I think it needs to be even darker than that. I'm going to just kind of tap in a little bit of that purple in a line. Kind of pick a few spots where I want some dark rocks. I'm kind of picking some of these lighter shapes that I made already with the Unbleached Titanium, so I can use the shadow color kind of underneath them. And I'm not defining any of the ones that are beyond, like right here. These ones back here are just going to be like little dabs and lines. There's not going to be a lot of detail. But these ones right here, we can kind of put in a couple of rocks that have some detail along the edge here. And then I'm going to use white. And some of that light ultramarine blue. So go a little bit brighter than the blue that we put down already. And I'm going to go on the top here and just kind of define some of these rocks. And I'm very carefully just kind of using the tip of my brush to sort of draw in on just a few of them. And this may be too bright, but we can always, like I said, we can always, you know, glaze over the top of this later. So I'd rather go too bright than not bright enough and have to do it again. So we'll just put in some highlights on these rocks that we've defined with the dark colors.
Okay, somebody's got a question about pricing paintings or selling. Do you have a art chat that goes over that?
I do. One of my first ones in my Thankful Art group was about pricing your art.
So if you go down below, there's a link to the Thankful Art Facebook group. If you're not a member yet, you just answer a few easy questions. We monitor it to make sure there's no spammers and people who are in there, you know, for not for art reasons.
Right.
But anyways, if you go in there and you can search in the group for art chat, and you should be able to find them easily. Yeah,
it'll be one of the very first ones. We've been in there for, several years now. So, whoops. We've been in that, we've had that group going in those art chats for over 2 years now, I think. So you'll have to go way back because it was one of the very first ones I did. It was about pricing your artwork. It's a real common question that I get. But I think it's almost an hour long, so it's way too detailed to go into right now, in this setting for sure. A lot of things go into it. All right, so we got some rocks down. Let's go ahead and start in our bushes now. I think we've got some good basic colors down. Whoops. Let me make sure that I've set my brushes down to kind of clean them out. I've set them down off to the side, but you can see they still are dirty, so I'm going to dip them in my water and keep them moist until I can clean them out really well, but I don't want to leave them sitting in my water because it'll ruin them. So, okay, so I'm going to grab the smaller one for these background ones, and let's go ahead and let's see. It's looking like they're kind of a yellowy green, so I'm going to go ahead and grab that light cadmium yellow light, a little bit of green. Yeah, that'll be good. So that'll be a good green there. Let's go ahead and make a green with our ultramarine blue, which will make it more like an olive green. You can use a cadmium yellow medium there. I'll make a kind of an olivey green. Let's go ahead and use that one first. Tap in some of this color up in here.
So after the show, we wash out the paints. We use just Dawn dishwashing liquid.
Yeah, I've also got pink soap that I use.
Right.
Pink soap, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a pink soap that you can buy in the arts, in the painting section of craft stores.
And there's also this one here that's called the Master's Brush Cleaner that you can use, like if you're traveling to a class, what you can do is take your brush and load up the paint in it and just kind of seal up the brush, and then you can clean it at home. It's really good to have if you're like doing classes not at home. It works well at home too, but I'm just saying, it's nice because it's kind of cakes up on top of your paint or your brush, and it it sort of seals the moisture in so that your paintbrush doesn't dry out before you can get home and clean it out really well. All right, so a little bit lighter color here. This is that kind of yellowish color that we mixed right here with the Phthalo green and cadmium yellow light. And one thing you want to keep in mind up here, where we did, went over the top of our horizon line, is you don't want that that line of your horizon. It can kind of show through your bushes, so just make sure that you're covering up that edge well enough with your paint, so that you don't have a line right here that's happening that you're seeing through your bushes. Okay. Tapping in this lighter color here. And we'll probably end up having to put in our saguaro cactuses and then put in some more of this greenery over the bottoms of them, because obviously, some of them are going to be over the top of it, and some of them, they're going to be sitting down inside of the bush, or kind of like the bush is going to be in front of it. So we want to make sure that we're leaving enough of the we'll put in do enough of this background first, and then we'll put in our saguaro cactuses. Get that bright lemony yellow right here. Go ahead and put in some of the kind of yellowy highlights on the top of these bushes. Let's do some of the same over here. I'm glad we didn't do our bonus video for tomorrow, because this is a super long one.
Bonus video? What's this bonus video you speak of?
Well, we're working on a female portrait for a bonus video for Patreon. Folks, it's the $5 supporters. And we're doing a realistic female portrait, so we should finish it up on next weekend, on Sunday. We worked on it last month for our bonus video for August, and it's also our bonus video for this month. So grabbing some of the lighter color here. Let's go ahead and grab some yellow. Mix that in. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But it's gonna be a 2+ hour video. So next weekend we're gonna have, we're doing the peacock on Saturday, white peacock, which I'm really excited about. I'm gonna try to keep her simplified, or him, whichever it is. And then Sunday we're gonna have an extra long bonus video to finish up our portrait. Hopefully finish it. Right. Oh yeah, and Mark put up the graphic there. So if you want information, you can find it there.
So the Patreon is $1 level for traceables each month, and that's unlimited traceables going back to February 2017, and it's all of them. So you have access to that. And then the $5 level is the traceables plus access to that bonus video Angela was just talking about. Then there's a $10 level, which is the traceables.
The $5 level also gets the reference photos for everything too.
I always forget that.
Which is really important.
Yeah. And then the $10 level is all that plus access to a private Facebook group where she does additional weekly paintings and chats and polls and discussions and things like that.
Yes.
And so
we're working on the succulents right now. I can pull that one over because we're almost done with it. So we've worked on that for 7 hours now. Maybe 8, probably 8. So almost done.
Yep.
But, we do extra long projects in there that, and just work on them until we're done. So.
Yeah. And so it's a super big thank you to there are over 1,500 supporters right now on Patreon.
It's amazing. I saw that we hit 1,500 last night.
Yeah.
Unreal.
It's such a blessing.
Unbelievable, really. Seriously, and I don't mean that as a joke. I did not think that we would. I almost didn't do Patreon because I was a little bit embarrassed just to even do. But I was like, oh, I don't know. There might be some folks that might be interested in some of this stuff. So we'll do it. We'll try it. And then it's just turned into this whole amazing thing. You guys are awesome. So good to us. We so appreciate you.
Yes, thank you so much.
You've supported us. And if you can't support us, we're still doing our live shows for free.
Right.
So nothing else has changed. This is only for those who, can afford to and want to help, support us and give. It's just our way of kind of thanking them back. And I would not have time to do these kind of special bonus videos if we weren't getting paid for them because they're just too long and I can't do stuff like that on YouTube, just regular YouTube. It just is not conducive to these really long videos that we're doing. So it's kind of a win-win. I get to do these kind of fun, longer videos and still have, a way to make money, career. Because that's not our main goal, but it's part of it. Yeah, it's a consideration. So we kind of have to do what's right for us as a family and our business too. So kind of nice that you guys help and have been helping support that. It's been awesome. All right, so I was doing a little bit of burnt umber there in some of the dark areas, just adding a little bit more of that dark. I'm going to add a little bit of dark purple in some of these areas here. Still not quite dark enough. And then as we're getting closer down here, let's grab some of the Quinacridone Magenta and a little bit of the Unbleached Titanium. And maybe some of the Ultramarine Blue. Kind of a purpley color, and there's kind of this bush in here that's sort of purpley. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in. Tap in that darker color. Let's do some there, and then grab some of this lighter color for the tops. I have no idea what this is, but it's glowing purple in our picture, so we're going to put it in. And I'm completely off camera, the whole thing, honey. Oh my gosh. Sorry, guys.
I'm trying to answer your question, so it's not my fault.
Okay. No, it's not my... Yeah, no. I know it's not your fault.
No, I know. I should have been... I was checking, but...
So many things to remember. Okay, let's put in a little bit of this color over here. There's some random bushes over there. I think these are kind of like sage bushes almost. Got that kind of a blue-gray, purpley color. Let's put in some of the purpley blue. This is a light ultramarine. put some of this pink color down in the rocks too. Go over some of these rocks that we have in here. There we go. Okay, let's do, I'm going to get the bigger brush now for some of the brush that's in the foreground area. And I'm going to use turquoise. Use that teal color. There's a little bit of the more phthalo green, so I'm adding a little bit of phthalo green to the teal. And using that unbleached titanium to lighten it up. Oh, that's going to be pretty. Can't wait. You ready for it? It's going to be so awesome.
Yes, yes.
So awesome. I know, you're excited.
I have to turn off my mic. I'm going to yell so loud. Santa!
It's almost like that.
Almost like that, huh?
Let's put some of this color up in here too. Tapping, then this one's kind of a large. Let's put it a little bit down back here. I'm going to grab some of the phthalo blue and do this one a little bit more blue back in here. It's kind of a shadow area in between this hill and this hill. So just put in some blue bushes back there. So I don't want nothing behind our tree because a little bit is going to actually peek through, but most of it's going to be covered. Let's grab that sage color again, and I'm going to just kind of brush upward to get sort of like we did over here and just kind of get some kind of shape going. There we go. And then get some yellow and do some kind of yellow green down here. Okay. And then this area, kind of more of a regular medium green here. So let's go ahead and grab this phthalo green and make a kind of a medium green for our tree. And we'll sort of put in some of this color at first, and then we'll put in our cactus, and then our big, saguaro cactus, and we'll finish our tree up. So I'm going to put in some of this color because we're going to see a little bit of it kind of peeking through. Our branches coming around like this. It goes all the way down to the ground right here, but make sure you leave a lot of the background color showing through We don't want to cover up too much right now. Okay, let's put some of this color over here, and I'm just going to kind of make some bushes, random sort of bushes here and there with it. There's a big one right here that kind of comes up all along right in here. Am I on camera? I don't know. Okay. Okay, there we go. All right, let's put in our cacti. So this is where I'm going to grab this bigger brush here. And I think I might use, let's see. Let's go and use this smaller one. We'll see how this one does for the cactus in the farther.
Which one's considered a smaller one?
The number 1 round.
Number 1 round. Okay.
Thank you. I'm going to use burnt umber, or burnt sienna and phthalo green. Maybe a little bit of unbleached titanium. Might use some yellow oxide, or a little bit of yellow in there. There we go. Just want kind of an olive color. And we're going to start putting in our little cactus. And they're really very indistinct, so we're not putting any detail in there, just kind of the silhouette of them way back here. Might zoom in and I'll try to stay on camera. These are tiny in back here. There we go. This brush may be a little bit big for it. And every now and then you're going to want to put a little arm on one of these guys, so just like a little side shoot. And if they're behind the hill, we may have to add a little bit more of the lighter color to be able to see them back here. Oh, God darn it. Okay, let me get a little bit smaller brush. I feel like maybe the 2/0 here. Okay, so there's a big one right here. Another big one right here. grab a little bit of yellow. Just lightly going over the top of these, kind of highlight them a little bit. Let me try the angle brush. My paint's getting sticky, and so it's a little bit thick for, yeah, there we go. This will be good. Just press my angle brush flat so I can get kind of straight lines on it. Ish.
I'm going to tilt the water cam down so people can see that from the side.
The what?
The water cam. So they can see your brush from the side.
You're all over this way.
Oh.
Is that better?
Yep.
Okay. It's not working. Just trying to find the right brush for that. Let's try this one again. Just want it small enough. There we go. Very thin. These are kind of clustered in little friend groups, so there's little cliques of, saguaros everywhere here. So it's interesting. You might have a big space, and then you might have three right, boom, 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 right next to each other. So just trying to spacing right. Gonna grab some teal. Use a little bit of this in the ones that are a little closer to us. A little bit more blue-ish. I'm going right up to my bush there. We're not seeing where this cactus begins. There we go. Okay, then let's put some of these smaller ones on this side too, over here. Grab some more of this kind of olive green color over here. Actually, these ones look like they're a little bit more yellow, maybe catching a little bit more of the sun over here. Two and a half hours, okay. So, I kind of I suck at simplifying things, obviously. Okay, just a few little smaller ones back here. And there's actually some back here if you zoom way in, but you really don't see them, but you can kind of indicate a few little ones that are way back here if you want to. Okay. I'm grabbing the larger, this is the number 4 round in the Princeton. It's quite large. And use a little bit of that teal color with our phthalo blue, or phthalo green, I mean. Our tallest cactus is right up here. It goes right up to this cloud here and is here. Let me just sketch it in really quick so I know where these are going. So leave plenty of room for them. So this one is right close to the edge here. He's kind of right in here, and his arm is actually can be farther over. Right here. Arm right here, and one that goes up higher, one kind of right in front, and then the tall that goes right up to there. This actually goes up to there. I may simplify this because, you know, just simplify the silhouette a little bit, because we've got a lot of these cactus that are kind of really overlapping a little bit, making it a little bit hard to see which one's which. So I may, those ones are fine. These ones over here are fine. But this one has, I think, no, I guess that's one big one right here. Okay, so it's hard to tell if it's two cactuses, one on top of each other, or, you know, like one behind the other one, or it's just one big one, but I think it might be just one big one that's got a lot of arms. So there's an arm here, then there's another one here. There's an arm that comes in front, so I might move that one over just a little bit so you see a little bit more of the body of the cactus. There we go. Okay, let's try that. And this color is probably not right. Let's use a little bit of brown. Turn that down just a little bit. Okay.
And which brush did you just grab?
This is number 4. Kind of all the arms are sort of coming out from right here, it seems like, or at least a lot of them are. Kind of comes out and then goes up, so it sort of does this. Yeah, you're not really seeing this very much, but you will in a minute here. Let me add a little bit of unbleached titanium to my brush here, and I'll start highlighting these, and you'll start seeing them a little bit better. I'm just going to kind of run over the top of that wet paint and draw lines in it, sort of almost. Okay, let's grab some cadmium yellow light. Use a little bit of that on this bigger one right here. And there's like a little top or something that's sitting on top of these. Like a little fuzzy bit. So I'll grab my brush and just kind of make a little fuzzy top for each of these. This is where the flowers bloom, I guess. Let that sit for a minute and we'll paint these and come back to them. Go really dark right in here. Get some brown right here where the arm attaches. Really dark. Got some yellow oxide. And they're not actually like solid. They're kind of, you can see that they kind of widen out in spots. So I need to do that on this one too. There's like some spots where the body kind of bows out. These arms are not perfectly straight. They're kind of have like segments where they got more water one day and got a little wider in spots. And then got slimmer on a year that didn't have a lot of water maybe. Who knows? This is actually kind of narrowing, unlike a regular tree where you would get thicker at the base. This is kind of narrowing down here before it touches the ground. I'm going to grab some purple here with really dark at the base there. Dark where these arms are attaching. There's an arm right here. One right here. Okay. This one needs to come up a lot higher. It's almost as high as that one. Fuzzy top. Tap, tap, tap. Okay. Then let's switch to a smaller brush. I may wish that I'd put a little bit lighter colors back here. I just didn't put a lot of my bright highlights back there on my trees. Let's grab some of the yellow. Let's get a smaller brush here. Yellow and green here. I'm going to kind of highlight some of these bushes back here so we have some bright areas behind our tree. And this is where we can also tap in underneath any of these bushes that are saguaros that need some ground cover in front of them. I'm going to tap underneath the base of some of these that so they don't look like they're just kind of setting out unattached to the ground, which they kind of do sort of just set, you know, straight down into the ground like that one. But gonna do some scrubby kind of, just use the corner of my brush here to kind of draw out some scrubby branches, plants. And I thought I might do some fancier cactus, but I don't think I'm going to today because this is detailed enough. So, but you could add all kinds of different kinds of cactus in here if you want to do barrel cactus or, you know, any kind of different cactus down in here would look good, I'm sure. I'm not going to do that today just because we're kind of running really late. A little squiggly armed something there with the teal and the white. And I still have this green in my brush, so I've got other colors happening. Go on top of some of these other bushes here. Kind of give a little bit of detail. Anything that looks like it's kind of just floating out there, just the way to help kind of seed it is to do something in front of it that's sort of horizontal and then just kind of blends out into nothing. So that way it'll kind of, especially with some of these bigger ones, it can tend to look like they're sort of floating out, not attached to anything. So if that's happening, then just put a little bush or something underneath it, or a little bit of the rocks, or just, you know, something, and it'll look better. Okay, so this is coming up over the top of this cactus right here. This is the white, and it's got the yellow and green, and I don't know what else in there. There's all kinds of different colors. Let's put a little bit of this lighter green back in here. So when I finish my cactus arms, it'll have something underneath, behind it. I hope you ate lunch, because, well, we had a late breakfast, so.
I made brunch.
That's true, you did. We got a new waffle maker. Mark made us awesome waffles with it. So instead of doing one at a time, he did 4 at a time. It's a lot faster. Did you find it's easier?
Well, it makes about twice as much as the old one did.
Nice.
And it is easier because it has a timer and a temperature adjustment
Ooh, a
thing.
timer. I didn't know it had a timer.
Yeah, so before I used to have to just not forget.
Right.
And now it'll beep and stuff at me, so.
Sweet.
Oh, yeah. It's
You're all fancy now.
It's all fancy pants.
I probably will never use it.
That's probably true.
Because I don't like making breakfast. Or cooking in general. Just to be honest.
That's why this isn't a cooking channel.
Exactly. Alright, getting more of this yellow. Put some bright pops of yellow here and there. And I'm kind of angling my brush up to get, if I want, you know, these lines. So if you're using just a regular brush, you can just kind of tap in lines. You don't have to have this fancy brush, but it does make it a little bit faster, honestly. I do find that it's very helpful. I've used it in a couple other videos too. Before this, I used it in the Sunset Mountain with the like pink flowers, a real bright sunset with the pink flowers in the foreground, and it did a really good job for that too. So makes good flowers. Alrighty, let's get our. I feel like that bush has kind of lost some of its details, so I'm gonna have to fix that. Give a little bit darker color on the base. Let's grab a little bit of my colors are all dried out now. Let's get a little bit of the burnt umber and phthalo green. Just go in here underneath this one and this one. Kind of put back in some of the dark areas. You know, if you need to define some of your bushes, it's a good little trick. Do that over here. Okay. Which one do I want to use? Let's use this one, see how it does. So I want to make highlights in our cactus. Grab the yellow and unbleached titanium there. I'm going to use it sideways and just kind of streak. I'm not going to try to draw in all of the lines because there's just too many details, but I'm going to kind of try to sort of indicate that there's streaks happening, ridges. You could use a liner brush and really go to town and do, you know, really detailed if you wanted to. Go and highlight the top there.
So which colors are you using to highlight?
This is yellow, cadmium yellow light with unbleached titanium. And it might have a little bit of green in it, I think. I think I had, you know, had a little bit of green.
It's that mush mess right there.
Right.
Whatever that mush mess was.
Right. I'm kind of doing these in sections. You know how they have the little growth rings. There's little shadows right underneath the growth ring part. So kind of, I think it needs to be zoomed in, hon. I don't think you can see what I'm doing here.
You just wanted me to zoom in so you could go off camera, huh?
I wasn't off camera.
Okay. Sure.
Was I?
I'll just say I just zoomed out a little bit.
Okay, sorry. I didn't know we were that close to the edge there. Okay. Okay. I know. Mark's already yawning.
I just had to stand up and stretch a little bit here, so
Okay.
I'm okay.
Good. Good to know. Let's put in a little bit of the teal with the white. Kind of mixing with that yellow that was already there. Let's put in some of this color. Definitely going to have to go back and shadow all of this, but I'm just going to lay in some bright highlights at first here, so we have something to work with. painting this side of it. Okay. Just small lines. Trying to keep them as thin as I can. Okay, so we're gonna let that set and dry. We'll work on this tree and then we'll come back and finish that. So I need my thin brush to do some branches. We'll use purple. So it's our darkest color, so it'll substitute for black. These are kind of, I think they're mesquite, so their branches are really dark. And I'm just going to do zigzaggy lines all through here. They're just in all kinds of weird directions. Crisscrossing and the base is going to be like right in here somewhere. But there's several, usually like, I think several kind of trunks. It just goes like a bush, you know, it's not like a tree necessarily. Although I think it's called a tree. I think they can grow a little taller if they, you know. Let's put in some stems for some of these that we've already put in over here. Okay. And then grab this smaller one here. I'm going to grab this yellow, light yellow oxide, or light cadmium yellow light, and a little bit of the phthalo green, some white. It's very yellow though. And tap in. I'm going to start at the back here and work my way forward. And leave. I'll make a kind of a medium color too, so I have two colors going. Let's use a little bit of the yellow, cadmium yellow medium for this one. We'll use both of these. Leave plenty of the branches showing in the middle here. And we already did that darker green, so there is kind of already sort of a base for our tree. So it'll look like there's some, you know, color behind our branches too with that green that we already put in there. Okay. And I'm going to grab some of this turquoisey color. Still got the yellow green in my brush. So it's kind of turning it yellow. I'm going to use that on that sage brush that's right here. That's next to it. Highlight that. Kind of more turquoisey color. Do a little bit on this one here too. And a little bit in front of it. And put some of this color in between our rocks. And make a few bushes over here with it. Use the light ultramarine, a little bit of blue. Do some bushes back in here that are kind of just sticks. Help push that layer back a little bit. All my chalk lines, and then we're gonna shadow this and we'll be done. So let's use the, let's make a green with our ultramarine and cadmium yellow. Come on. I'm going to use that in some of these areas here. Shadow. And add some stripies. Mix a little phthalo blue in there with it here. Go really dark right in here. Just trying to define the arms a little bit. I'm taking color liberties here with this blue. Trying to differentiate it a little bit more from the background here, so that I think the blue will sort of do that for me. Oh, was I off camera? I can't tell. Was I? Great. How far? Like the whole thing? Great.
And now you're off on the other side. Zooming out.
It's just hard with these long canvases. Okay, I've got unbleached titanium here with some of the lighter color, with the little bit of that green that we were using. Just add a little bit of highlights to this. Yeah, this is one you're going to just have to watch on a bigger screen to be able to see the detail, I guess. Just makes it a little bit more difficult. When I am on camera, that is. Hopefully, which was hopefully not.
That's what separates us from the rest of the
pros.
YouTubers.
Yeah, we're
All pros. So I was just saying YouTubers.
yeah, we're pros at this. We know what we're doing. All right, I'm gonna use some of this yellow in our cactus here. Add a little bit more highlights with the yellow. Sorry about being off camera there, guys. Pretty much just shadowing in and around the base and the sides of these arms, just to kind of define them a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit of Quinacridone Magenta. Just a little bit of that purple against that green will really make some of this, especially your shadow areas, really come to life a little bit. You don't have to add it everywhere, just here and there. So that'll really make that green come alive. And if you look at your picture and you zoomed in, there's actually some of that in there because it's catching the glow from the skies. There is actually a little bit of that kind of a purpley pink that's catching in on our cactus. And if you want to do some flowers, you can do that on the top there. You can give it some little pink flowers maybe, because you know this is my tutorial, so I'm going to add flowers obviously. Mark's not even listening to me anymore. Okay. Let's add a little bit of, mix the phthalo blue with the quinacridone there. White. And add some more of this kind of purpley bushes in between here, in front of some of this. Where we can kind of look at it and go, okay, well, we need a little more highlight maybe back in here on our rocks, so we're going to put a little bit of that in. Help define them a little bit better.
Did you put purple on the cactus?
I put purple in the shadow down in here, and then I like in the arms right in here down, and then I put Quinacridone Magenta on it as well. Do some purple up in here. We're like in our shadow area. If I can get some to pick up on my brush there, right up underneath our flowers area. I think we are just about done. Did I forget anything? I think I got everything, hopefully. Last week I forgot to put the antenna on the butterflies right at the end. I remembered, but it was too late. We were already off camera. So if you watched our moonlight butterflies, be sure you give them little antennas. You put some little sticks in here with the purple. Just kind of random little sticks. And I think we're done. What do you think? Let me sign it. We can do maybe one more layer of really bright with the unbleached titanium right in here. Just a couple of places. Just rubbing it back off will kind of just help sort of, if it looks way too bright, you know, sometimes you put it on and you're like, whoa. So if you kind of tap it off with your finger, it'll kind of help smooth it in, blend it in a little bit. Tap some of this into the road. Between our rocks, in front of some of our rocks. All right, I'm going to call that good. Sign it. This is my Pigma Sakura that I like to sign with. It's waterproof. Link to it on Amazon is down in the description, so you can find it there in my shop with all the other materials that we used today. And I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, you can give it a thumbs up on our channel here and leave a comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, all that good stuff. Oh yeah, we got super chats. Okay, I'm just gonna add a few more details. I'm not supposed to do this after I sign it, but I do it all the time. All right, go ahead.
Call for super chat.
Sweet.
So we had 7 super chatters.
Wow.
Today, yes.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so we first started off with Sandy, and she said, "This is because I am so thrilled to be painting this. The reference photo was actually taken literally from my parents' backyard.
What?
Hat Mountain is in the background. I climbed it as a kid."
Wow.
So did you paint her into the... I think I saw you paint her into the thing. No? Okay.
Maybe.
Then we had from Susan, and she says, "Thank you, Angela. Your attention to detail wins me over every time.
Aw.
You work hard, and it is deeply appreciated."
Thank you.
And Mark, you too. Then we had from Beverly, no special message, but thank you so much.
Thank you, Beverly.
To Beverly. And then Beverly again.
What?
And then she had a message, said, "Hi, Angela and Mark. I just wanted to say," oh my gosh, these new glasses are killing me.
You and I
to
tried
say that
me.
besides the beautiful painting you put out, I think you and Mark are the epitome of marriage, and I love the way y'all entertain us.
Thank you.
And then we had from Jan, and there was no special message, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Jan.
And then finally from Denise, says, Angela, your painting is magical. All those colors, amazing. Thank you so much. You have helped me a lot with my painting skills. Love and art hugs to you and Mark.
I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you. Wow.
Oh, wait a minute. This just in. Another super chat. This one's from Sandy again. Says, yes, another donation. You may read it for the extra ice that Mark will need to have to fetch for your painting arm.
Thank you. I will leave it today.
Thank you, Sandy.
How long did we go today? 3 hours and 2 hours and
3 hours,
3 hours
and
15
11
minutes.
minutes.
Whoa. That was a long one.
Yeah, you kind of went for a while today.
Sorry.
And we'll turn off the disco lights. And we'll hang up the
Any more
cowbell for
brown
another
here?
week.
Okay.
And you're still painting.
Well, I'm just noticing I needed some shadows down here by the road. All right, I'm done. Thanks,
Mhm.
guys. We'll see you next time.
Well, did we? So we said thank you
We
and
could
check
go
out.
another
and
hour probably, adding more details.
We'll see you on Tuesday.
Yeah,
what,
we'll
what
see
are we
you
painting
Tuesday.
Tuesday?
We're painting another moonlight painting. So we're doing moonlights with trees with like twisty branches. It'll be really fun.
Nice.
Be on a small
nice.
6x6 inch canvas. So hopefully we won't go over time.
Yeah.
And then we're doing a white peacock next week. So
Ooh.
I know, I'm looking forward to that one.
So if you haven't already, hit subscribe
Yes.
and check
that
out the
good
channel. She already has the links to those videos already posted up. So you can
Yep.
go over there and hit the remind button, and maybe YouTube will remind you on time.
Yes. Hopefully.
Or on your smartphones, you can set your alarm. It's 2 p.m. Central Time almost every Saturday,
Yes.
and 6 p.m. Central Time almost every Tuesday.
Yes.
We're only not on those days if we're
Sick or on vacation.
sick or on vacation.
Yeah.
So we try to do
Pretty
it. We
consistent.
we try to keep the time consistent. So we're like a TV show.
Okay.
No, you're painting along, so
I know.
I'm talking.
Sorry. All right. Thanks,
You want me
guys.
to stop talking?
I'll
Stop painting.
All right. I'm stopping. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.